We should have left Angel doing the intro music over there, but we'll kick it off. It's episode 23 of the WeAllServe podcast. Some awesome discussions. Last week had just an incredible conversation with the founder, Chicago-based founder of
Valkyrie guy. Yeah.
Absolutely, Valkyrie. Amazing stuff. I've been quoting him all over the place, Angel, and I know you and I were texting over the weekend about how impressive that was. Today, we've got an impressive conversation as well. Next week, teeing up a great conversation with retired Brigadier General Gary Proffitt, formerly of Walmart. So, hey, good stuff.
You go work at Walmart and they make you a general? That's awesome. I missed that line. Where do you live for that?
You know, Kentucky Fried Chicken, they only make you a colonel. So go to Walmart, you become a general.
It's tough. It's tough.
Oh, yeah.
And then you got the Admiral Insurance. You see the little cheesy commercials for them?
Oh, my God. Absolutely. I was
like, clearly, you guys don't know very many admirals because I sure as hell wouldn't trust them to insure me.
Absolutely. You know, Angel, I have to say, I was thinking about this earlier today. I'm excited. I think we should record an episode during the Army-Navy game.
We should definitely do a play-by-play. Yeah, that'd be awesome, dude. We should do that.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of would be fun. Like, we could do like hey, watch the game with WeAllServe or something. I don't know.
Okay. Or at least a halftime show.
Be entertaining.
That's honestly, it. We're going to do the halftime show. There's marching bands. Who the hell wants to watch that?
That's good. We're back. You had a good weekend?
Yeah, really, really good weekend. Took a lot of the lessons that we got on our last podcast from the CEO of Valkyrie, and just tried to see where I can position myself with my own company. It was fantastic. And the way he didn't make any excuses, he didn't deflect, he didn't defer. He just said, "Yep, just work your ass off, man. That's it." Cracked me up.
Yeah. And that's wild. Totally wild. Today's conversation.
We went to Top Golf yesterday. And I went there with my one of my best friends who is a West Point guy, and he brought his wife, and we played this Top Golf game, and we both got our asses kicked by our women. It was very, very rough.
It's good that you hang out with folks that served in the Army, because I'm sure you learn a lesson every time.
It's part of my community outreach.
Part of your community outreach.
Yeah. And then on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I'm with old folks and disabled children. Usually left-eyed, one-armed children on Thursdays. So the West Point thing fits right in there.
Yeah. Well, it's part of your program. That's good. Well, I don't want to keep our guest waiting because he's doing awesome stuff in the world. So here he is. David Muir is right here, and David served in the Virginia Army National Guard as an infantryman, an M60 gunner. But now he doesn't do too much with M60s or too much with the infantry.
Because he's in a militia.
He's a senior vice president.
He's all America first.
Oh, God. He's the senior vice president of Easter Seal's Veteran Staffing Network. The VSN is dedicated to providing top-tier military talent to employers while assisting veterans, guardsmen, reservists, and military spouses in securing long-term, meaningful jobs. I don't want to get too deep into the VSN because we're going to talk all about it. But David, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me, fellas. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. And we've been looking forward to this conversation. I heard you on another podcast, and I was excited to not only talk to you because of your service, which we definitely will get into over the next little bit, but also talk about how you are continuing to serve by supporting other veterans with employment. And I'll just kick off by saying this, that here on WeAllServe, as I always say, it's not just about which uniform you put on, go Army, beat Navy, but it's, there we go, see Angel's overwhelmed yet again. That's always my goal. But
Shalom's been in the Army for like 2 weeks.
That's true.
That dude is drinking the Kool-Aid. I don't know how concentrated that shit is, but damn, dude.
Hey. Listen, it's called Big Army for a reason, baby.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah, absolutely. But seriously, no matter what you do, giving back to community, volunteering, that is a method of service. So especially in this day and age, being involved and giving and doing what you can. That's why the show is called We All Serve. And speaking of We All Serve, you can click subscribe wherever you're watching, listening. Click subscribe, rate, review. It makes it easier for others to find it. So that said, David, again, thank you for joining us on We All Serve. So let's start in the very, very beginning. You enlisted in the Virginia Army National Guard. As I understand it, it was it was because you sort of, speaking of drinking the Kool-Aid, you were sold, as I understand it, because your friend Sergeant showed a video of soldiers rappelling out of helicopters, and that was the moment that you decided, "Hey, what's life worth anyway? I'm just gonna join the Army."
Well, I have a long history of military in my family. My grandfather was in the Army. He was a tank destroyer on the European front in World War II, and my other grandfather was a Marine at Guadalcanal in World War II.
Wow.
Yeah, so good history. My father went to West Point. He was an Army Ranger, Airborne Ranger. And so when it just came to my time, it was already kind of programmed into me. I knew that I wanted to serve. And I was planning on joining when I got out of high school. And a friend of mine who was a year ahead of me, was involved in this program with the National Guard called Split Op. I didn't know much about it.
Isn't that the one where you go in the summer of your senior year, your junior year, and then you come back for your senior year, and then you go off to the National Guard?
Summer camp.
Well, kind of, yeah. So,
yeah.
To fast forward my story, my buddy just said, "Hey, come meet the sergeant, make me look good," and all he had to do was show me the video of rappelling out of helicopters and blowing stuff up real good. And I said, "Man, I can't wait to graduate and get involved." And the recruiter said, "Son, how old are you?" 16. When do you turn 17? 3 weeks. He said, "Well, what if I told you that you could go to basic training this summer and be a soldier before you came back for your senior year of high school?" And that was all. I was hooked. And so I was in the Baltimore MEPS on my 17th birthday swearing in. And I left for basic training that summer, drilled all through my senior year. And then after I graduated, went back for my advanced infantry training. So I put myself voluntarily at Fort Benning, Georgia, 2 summers in a row, which in hindsight,
it's a little warm, little buggy, little warm.
Little buggy, little warm. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. It's a good way to put it. Hot as hell is another way I'd put it.
There's that, yeah.
Yeah. Wow. That's fun. So you served in the Army for in the Guard for how long?
Just 6 years. I did my my enlistment term, and that was it for me. I got very fortunate. I served during peacetime for the most part. The only real conflict happened was Desert Shield, Desert Storm. I was with the 29th Light Infantry, and we backed up the 82nd Airborne, who did deploy. But because that conflict was over so rapidly, we were never called to duty. So, of course, back then, when you're 17, 18 years old, you want to go because that's what you're trained to do. But as what I would call now an elder statesman, I realized just how fortunate I was that I did not have to go. And I've committed my life to trying to help those men and women who have gone to protect our freedoms, because freedom isn't free, like what you got there on the wall, Angel.
Yeah, I got that from Flags of Honor or Folds of Honor.
Yeah,
I won it. I had to beat out a 3-star general to get it.
Wow.
What was his name? John. Yeah, he was a POW in Vietnam and wrote a book of poetry. And he was the head or CEO or president of United Way or something like that. It'll come to me. But short answer, he was kicking our asses on the golf course. It was freezing rain, and we didn't want to quit because the old man was out there. And I'm like, well, I'm holding my club like this. And I'm like, I'm not going to quit if he's not going to quit. And then he's like, yeah, we should probably go in. This is bad for the grounds. I'm like, yeah, the grounds are bad. The grounds are bad. Thank God this whole. But yeah, so we won that. They had a raffle and stuff and the whole event was to support Folds of Honor, and that's where that came from.
Wow, that's cool. So David, a lot of folks, and I know that this is a big part of what you do, Veteran Staffing Network, and we're going to talk all about it, is a lot of folks that are tuning in, and I'm watching some of the comments come in, folks don't understand what the National Guard or the reserves are.
Mhm.
And it has changed over time. It changes. It depends on the state that you're in. It depends what's going on. But right now, a lot of folks are definitely familiar with the fact that a lot of National Guardsmen have been doing COVID testing and things like that. But you were fortunate, it sounds like, that you weren't activated, at least often during your time. But one of the things that you have been very involved in supporting is helping guardsmen and reservists find employment and helping employers connect with those folks. What's, I guess, your perspective now, looking back at it and working with so many folks? What I guess, what's your big picture outlook on the contributions and challenges that come along with it?
Well, if you're in the Guard or Reserve, they call you a weekend warrior is the quote unquote term that they use. And it's true. These are civilian soldiers. These are civilian Marines. These are civilian sailors, civilian airmen. And these men and women have civilian lives. They go out into the world. They have a job, and they may or may not have families. But one weekend a month and a couple of weeks a year, they go and train. And they train for the purposes of being able to help protect the country. The National Guard, as you know, is state by state. The reserves are more of a nationalized unit. What has happened with the current conflict that has been going on for a really long time is that these part-time units are activated at the federal level, and the majority of them have at some point or another been deployed downrange for the conflicts that we've experienced in the Middle East over the course of the last 12 plus years.
They augment the active forces.
Correct. Yes, they're brought in to augment. Unlike your active duty service members, when these people rotate back to when they rotate in theater, they are leaving behind, just like the active duty components, a family, but oftentimes they're also leaving a job behind. And although there have been laws put in place to help protect those jobs when these service members rotate back home, that is not always the case. There are some organizations that can't hold a job for 6, 8, 10, 12 months a year for this person to come home. And they often find themselves in what's called a demob or demobilization. That's when a National Guard unit or a reserve unit comes back and they demob from federal activity to go back to their reserve component duties. They may find themselves unemployed because the job they had when they left is no longer available to them. And so, go ahead, Angel.
Or there's what I've seen, and I agree with you 100%. And what I've seen happen is it's the passive aggressive kind of you were away and we did all this stuff and they're passed over for promotions, or they're not considered for special opportunities, or it's almost in some very myopic management circles looked down upon, and they don't respect the sacrifice and what the service members are doing. And it's not something that's talked about because it's against the law. It's against federal law. But and they kind of lean over and go, but we're still gonna, that kind of like that.
Well, it's the sad truth of the matter, right?
Yep.
It's against the law to discriminate against somebody who's done that, who's in the service and has been activated. But it doesn't change the fact that when they come home, jobs may not be there. Opportunities may not be there. And so the work that I do with Easter SEALs through the Veteran Staffing Network, not only do we support the transition of people who are active duty and their families in making that transition, but we also work an awful lot with people who are still in uniform in the Guard and Reserve, who are looking to really reinvent their professional career in the civilian marketplace because they need to go to work. They've been demobbed. They're no longer full-time active duty service members. They're back to their typical 1 weekend a month and a couple of weeks a year rotation, at least for the time being. And then they also face a stigma when it comes to getting a job with employers because they're in the National Guard. And there are concerns that, oh, if I hire you, you might get activated and have to go down and go away from work for months to months at a time. And so it is a challenging thing. It's something that I'm proud to be a part of an organization like Easter Seals that is helping to try and build bridges to help these men and women find their civilian careers when they do come back from a mobilization or when they do transition out of active service.
Yeah, that's super important. So tell us a little bit about the companies that you're working with, and perhaps tell us a little bit about in general about the Veteran Staffing Network, because I'll be honest, a lot of people don't know about it.
This is true. Well, everything for us starts with Easter Seals. So it's the organization that has been around for more than 100 years that almost everybody knows the name, but almost nobody knows what we do.
I think about licking a stamp or a sticker and putting it on a thing, and that's your Easter seal that goes on your letter. That's Easter Seals.
And that's kind of how the name happened, right? So we started as a Society for Crippled Children in your hometown, Shalom of Chicago. And we're known as an organization for helping people, children with disabilities specifically. The name changed because
how about adult children? Because I might need a little, side.
You definitely could use some help.
Definitely. And a hug.
The name changed because we used to hold a telethon for fundraising, selling stamps around Easter time.
Okay.
And Easter Seals being a heck of a lot nicer to say than the society.
David, we can't hear.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay. So the name changed with the telethon, but organizationally, we've been helping the military community since World War II. The Veteran Staffing Network is a program of the Easter Seals DC, Maryland, and Northern Virginia affiliate. So there are 74 affiliate partners in the Easter Seals network. You can almost think of them like a franchise. Each is its own 501c3, and we all have a mission to build inclusive programs that empower people to live, learn, work, and play in their own community. And the military population is no different. They have their own challenges, and they deserve to live, learn, work, and play in their communities, and that's what we're committed to. So the Veteran Staffing Network is focused, a social mission is focused on building job readiness, right? So this is helping people go through career coaching to understand what they want to do with the skill sets that they have. A lot of times it's a lot of self-discovery, helping them understand the skills that they bring to the table and helping them kind of understand the industries.
Their passion. What do you like to do? Just sitting there and asking them for all the time they've been in the military. No one's asking what they want to do, what they love. And then you sit down, they come out of the civilian world and you guys help them find their path. That's
correct. That's correct. And a lot of times a common answer that we hear is, well, I can do anything. Just show me what you want to do. Right.
First best interview answer happens every time. Every time. What would you like to do with our company? Well, what do you want me to do? I'll be great at it. Just give me a little bit of training. I'll be all right.
And so a big piece of that is the cultural divide between the civilian and the military cultures, right? So the military hires very differently than the civilian population. In the military, we hire for ability and we train for the job. In the civilian culture, training is expensive. I don't have time to train you. I need you to be trained when you walk in the door so you can hit the ground running. Mm-hmm. And so it's just a completely reversed mindset. So the service member who is used to being, what is the old adage? I don't know what they have in the Navy, but in the Army, it's tell, show, do, right? So I'm going to tell you how to do it. I'm going to show you how to do it. And then I'm going to expect you to do it. And so we're not in the civilian employment space. We're not here about tell and show. We're expecting you to show up and do. Hmm. And so our goal really is to help these men and women understand who and what they have, what are the skills they can bring, what kind of industry, what type of job would be suited for what they want in their life, and then help them figure out how to engage the employment community in a way that's meaningful so that they can get into conversations that lead to interviews. Now, all that costs money, right? And historically, employment programs for veterans and their families have always been funded by the government. That comes with restrictions on who can access the training, where it's delivered, the frequency of delivery. A lot of people fall through the cracks. And Easter Seals is an organization that catches people who fall through the cracks. So we did not want to be reliant on these grants to be able to deliver a social mission. So we have adopted a for-profit business model, the staffing industry. We engage the business community like a commercial staffing firm. So
a percentage on the direct hire or a contingent hire and all those kind of things, like he's going to make this amount for the salary, and then you just get a percentage off of that?
Yes, that's correct. I'm a headhunter.
Yep.
Right? No bone in my nose, though. Right? And so when we make that placement, whether it's a contingent direct hire through headhunting or we're putting somebody to work in a temp or attempt to hire opportunity, the revenues that we make for making those placements roll into the program. And that's how we're paying for our career coaches and our infrastructure to be able to deliver the social mission of helping these men and women understand who they are and what kind of opportunities they want for their career. Since its inception, which is a little more than 7 years ago, we've put more than 2,600 men and women to work in 36 different states across the country. And the revenues we've received from those placements have allowed us to provide career coaching and job search training to more than 12,000 people all around the world. So it's a program that not only is providing a valuable service to employers, particularly ones who want to strengthen their diversity in the military space, but really every time we place a Joe or a Sally, we're helping 4 to 6 other Joe and Sallys behind them that nobody will ever see, nobody will ever know, nobody will ever touch. But they're getting the assistance that they need to go and further their lives simply because we were able to put somebody to work.
So let's talk about your transition. So you again, you are a guardsman, so you certainly came, as many do, not doing the Army full time. But I always say that, there's folks, Angel likes to make fun of me, which that's fair and that's fine. I definitely have drank the Kool-Aid. I'm a reservist, but I'm an all or nothing guy. So for me,
yeah, you are.
I serve and I'm proud to serve. It's very much a part of my life. And even though I do juggle my civilian life too, it's great. I get to put on real clothes every day. But there has not been a single day since I joined 2-ish years ago that I have not done Army stuff every single day because I made that a part of my life. But when you talk about transition, what was your transition like from military? What are some of the things you've done on the civilian side, both in your when you were a bit younger, and then how did it lead to you becoming the senior vice president at Easter Seals for the Veteran Staffing Network? Pretty exciting stuff.
Well, there's a lot of stories that I could tell between the time I got out and the time that I got involved with Easter Seals.
But I'm trying to make you sound younger.
Yeah, no, I'm pushing 50, buddy. But
I'm trying to figure out which question. You asked them like 8 questions. I'm trying to figure out which one you're going to answer.
So, my transition was fairly simple. I showed up, turned in my gear, and left. Right. I had been in school. I was in college. I got out. You got to remember, I got out in '95. Right. So this is pre 9/11. So that's how old I am. I'm an old guy. Right.
You're chronologically sophisticated, like me.
I like that.
And handsome like me.
Thank you. I might take that. I am handsome like you. This is true.
Except Shalom's got a better haircut.
That's true.
Listen, at least I have hair, buddy. You two guys, listen, you guys went with the only option you had, right? I'm maintaining mine.
With high speed, low drag. We do it because we're so fast and we just want to keep our speed and our edge.
That's fine. I was a machine gunner. I didn't need to be fast. I just need to lay down good ground fire.
Man, my 50 cal always used to jam on me.
Yeah. See, I had M16 was a 7.62 belt fed. I didn't have any problems with jams.
Nice.
But anyway, when I got out, I had pretty much thought the military was behind me. And then fast forward many, many years later, and in the summer of in the Great Recession of 08, 09, I realized.
Moment silence. Okay, we're good.
Okay. I didn't realize that. I realized that people didn't know how to get a job.
Yeah.
And I started writing a curriculum on the skill of job search. And the only thing I'd ever seen was TAP when I got out in 95.
Yeah.
So I audited a class in May of 09, saw that it was the same material they were delivering in 95, and realized that there was a significant need for change. So a few years later, I actually won the work with the Department of Labor to completely redesign TAP for the first time in more than 20 years. And I did
Wow.
that
When was that? What year was that?
2011. So in
Okay.
2012,
I remember that. Wasn't like Reboot out at around the same time too? They had a thing called Reboot and Tap, and it was wow. You were part of all that, huh?
Time, right? So, and even though TAP has gone through multiple revisions since I last touched it, there are still elements of my curriculum in there. So literally millions of people have received my training in some form or fashion,
Wow.
which is really cool. It gives me, I like to stick a flag in the ground for that one.
I would, dude. That's transformational.
Yeah. So then I caught wind that Easter Seals wanted to build this thing called the Veteran Staffing Network. And, you know, they were looking for someone who was prior service, who understood the staffing industry, who understood job search, who was an entrepreneur, and who could be the face of the program. And I don't know about the last one, but the other four I had in spades. And so I ponied up and raised my hand, and I was fortunate enough to be selected to launch this program. And since then, we've been changing lives every day.
Sure have. You sure have. It's exciting. That's incredible. So how long has that been since your work got started?
Well, I'll be celebrating my 8th year with Easter Seals here on the 10th of December, so right around the corner. I remember the very first phone call I made, outgoing phone call to try and develop business, was on Valentine's Day on 2012. So we're coming up on about 8 years since the program got its initial push.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. I'm excited.
And to watch your baby, something you built turn into this thing that's affecting all these different service members in all these states. And I mean, obviously it's affecting and helping not just the service members, but the secondary and tertiary stakeholders in business speak, the family members and everyone in their ecosystem, when you're helping them help themselves.
Sure. And on top of that, we're helping businesses too, right? Let's not forget, if we don't do a good job as the Veteran Staffing Network in providing employers with top tier talent, they're not going to use us again, right? And that means that we're not going to get any more placements. We're not going to get any more revenue. We're not going to be able to help anybody because no revenue, no placements. And so the thing I think I'm most proud of, I always knew the men and women that I was going to be representing were top tier talent. Always have, right? I remember at the Pentagon one year, one of the generals who was giving us a report said, less than 1% of the American population has ever worn the uniform. And of all the men and women who have the courage to raise their hand to volunteer, only the top 25% get in. So we're already working with some really top quality individuals. Not saying that everybody who wore the uniform is a hero, because anybody who's been in the military knows that's not the case. There's plenty of ding-a-lings that get into, right?
And not so nice character guys that won't reach back and pull a brother forward.
There's
true. Lots of those guys, and it just breaks my heart to see that stuff.
And so I don't want to carry on the overinflated reputation that anybody who's ever been in the military is a hero, because that's not the case, right? But they did have the courage to raise their hand, and for that I give them credit. But just the baseline of that, these men and women have been put through some of the highest quality control checks, and to be able to engage the business community, provide these organizations with men and women who can not only do the job, but do it successfully and do it at a high level over and over and over again, is something I'm very proud of.
That's awesome. That's incredible. And Easter Seals, I'll be honest, I haven't done enough research, but my understanding is that Easter Seals is a little bit different across the country, that Easter Seals in Chicago is not the same as in DC, and so on. So is your work a national program, and what else is Easter Seals doing in the veterans and military world?
Wow, great question. So not that the other questions weren't great, but that's a great question. There's a lot of brand confusion about Easter Seals in general. So I had mentioned affiliate partners. You can think of them like a franchise. So we all have the mission of building inclusive programs to empower people to live, learn, work, and play in their communities, like I mentioned. But because we're such a grassroots organization, the needs community to community differ. So the services that were best way I could describe it. So I work for DC, Maryland, Northern Virginia affiliate. We've got a lot of military people in our demographic, so we have a lot of military-oriented programming. But if you went to our Easter Seals affiliate partner who supports, say, rural Utah, probably not so much. So each affiliate does different things based on the needs of their community. To my knowledge, the Veteran Staffing Network is the only program in the Easter Seals universe that operates nationally, and that's because of the transient nature of the men and women that we're serving. If I'm helping Joe here at Walter Reed and he transitions out and goes back to that rural Utah location where there may not be support, we're not going to drop him. We're going to maintain that. And considering that we can work from pretty much anywhere to help coach somebody up, that's what we're going to do.
And when you say we, who are you referring to?
So that's the VSA team. There's a number of recruiters and career coaches on staff, a couple of crack admin team, and our director of operations, who is also a West Point grad, as well as our COO is a West Point grad. So everybody on our team, and on top of that, we've got another whole team that does homeless veteran reintegration, incarcerated veteran reintegration. So everybody on our team is either someone who's been in uniform, someone who's been a spouse, or someone who's been a kid of a military family. We walk the walk because we've drank the Kool-Aid. We've been there.
Awesome. We all have. We all drank the Kool-Aid. Up front, but I know. I got my big old Navy blanket over there on my chair.
Yeah, whether you're Navy, whether you're Army, Marine, Air Force, or
you're a brother in uniform. That's it. Your brother, sister in uniform.
On this side of the fence, we're all the same.
Yeah.
Angel, when do you think we're going to get our first guest on from the Space Force?
That's a thing? I don't know. I guess actually, what we should do, we should proactively go out and go to like World of Warcraft or some kind of gaming site and find their next recruit, because that's probably where he's going to come from.
Well, you can laugh, but I'm
not laughing. I'm serious. They're awesome. They're going to have all the money and all the cool stuff and the best toys, and they're all going to know how to code and languages, and
they're going to have some really good toys.
Telepathic. Oh, never mind. That's too funny.
I don't know about that. That might be a little beyond it. But
little too Star Warsy.
I met the spouse of the person in charge of Space Force, and it is not a light job. There's a goofy show on Netflix, I think.
Yeah, with Steve Carell. Yeah, I heard about that.
Oh, good.
Is it on yet? Is it out?
Oh, it's out. Season 1 has been out for a couple of months. It's awesome, Angel. There's some like nuances, like they really get
the bureaucracy of it.
Oh, it's awesome. It's really good.
Oh, I can't wait.
And I just watched, this is totally off topic, but I just watched another Netflix series, Away. Have either of you guys seen it?
No.
It's really good. It's about an astronaut, actually a Navy vet, that is the first woman to land on Mars. Really good. Really, really good. Surprisingly good. Only 10 episodes.
I did see it. It was, yeah, I think I saw it.
Yeah, it's fun.
Don't hurt yourself. You sure you're not a Marine, Angel?
See, these headphones don't actually work. I'm just using them to hold the smoke inside my ears.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, David. You are so fitting in right over here. It's good. It's good. David, that's totally awesome. Is there anybody, I guess one of my last questions, then I'll turn it over to Angel, is there anybody that you can point to that, sort of transformational or really influential from your time in service?
Influential people from my time in service. Well, I could talk about Staff Sergeant Daniels, who taught me how to be a professional machine gunner. Staff Sergeant Wilson, who taught me how to be an NCO. Captain Mercer, who became a general, who really taught me how to just look at adversity in the face with nothing but adversity back at adversity, right? there's no hill that you can't take. It's just a matter of figuring out how to get there. So I was blessed to be around folks like Staff Sergeant Robinson, who encouraged me to do the right thing, to even my basic training drill instructors who took a power lifter who couldn't run a lick and taught me how to run 2 miles in less than 16 minutes, which doesn't sound like much, but for
yes, it is. That's considerable.
Yeah,
Because
well,
you trying to tote all that muscle around, it's not easy.
I was
Not
squatting.
that I have any or ever have had any muscle,
No,
but I'm assuming.
I was squatting 600 pounds and I had 28-inch thighs when I went to basic training.
I had a 20-inch waist.
Oh yeah, I haven't had a 28-inch waist until I was like 14, right? Personally, not now with COVID. I think I'm at like the 38-inch waist. I've gotten to that point, unfortunately.
Nice.
David, if you were the 16-year-old, if you were to do it all over again, would you do it?
Yeah, but I tell you what, I probably would have counseled me to wait a year so that I would have been active duty. I think if I would have gone active duty, I would have been a lifer. The military is a great organization, and I enjoyed my time in it. I knew that my time had come to an end at the end of my 6 years. But there's a saying, once a soldier, always a soldier. And I got to believe that runs throughout all the other branches. Once you got it in your blood. Now we do have those rare birds that go from Navy to Army or Army to Navy or Marine to Army or whatever. There's a few multi-branch people out there. Those are kind of the one-offs. But at the end of the day, I have a lot of respect for the men and women who are willing to raise their hand. And that's what I tell these people when they're talking about not fitting in the civilian world. I try and help them understand that, listen, you were willing to raise your hand and say, I will die to protect people that I don't know and will never meet. And that concept is so foreign to the majority of men and women that we live around. You're always going to be an oddball. Always. But you're an amazing oddball, and your attitude and those like you are the reason that we have the ability to have this podcast right now. Let's be honest.
Sure. Absolutely.
And be entertained by the Navy guy.
Absolutely. Very entertaining.
You know what? The one thing you said, though, that really stuck out.
First. You sure about that?
The one thing that you said that stood out, Shalom, this has been my last point, with the whole weekend warrior thing. And what I found out is, I served around the same time you did. And it wasn't until I'd been in, like, we did administrative support and all these different things, and we'd have the reservists come out during the summer, and we were in Hawaii, so we were like, oh, dude wants to take a vacation. Got it. Okay. Military paid for a vacation. And it wasn't till, I want to say 2002, 2003, when the Navy started doing this thing called individual augmentation, where they would take sailors and they would send them to an Army training, and then they go fill an Army billet. And then from then on, I started to see a lot more reservists populating and filling in. And then when I started doing manpower for the military, they would find the ready units, like you have a whole carrier strike group, like all these different ships and stuff, and they would look for critical skills. And if you didn't have the critical skills on active duty, you went to reserve unit, and the reserve unit would populate it, fill that gap until you had someone who could rotate active duty to rotate in. And it was like this. It's almost like the blanket that covers you. It's like the security and the resources and the most impressive thing I learned about that was the people that, when I was doing this exercise called RIMPAC, which is every 2 years, an odd number of years, they bring all these different countries to Hawaii and for a big war game. And the reservists would come in, and one guy was a cook, and he loved cooking, and that was his thing. And you find out that he's actually what's the thing? The guy who looks at, for a pathologist, the guy who looks at the dead bodies when people die, medical examiner. He was an actual MD, medical examiner. Now here's, E3 Seaman Timmy, who's actually a professional medical examiner. And you talk to these people that are incredible professionals, and you find out their story, and they just want to serve. They want to be able to have that story in when they're in a rocking chair, that they did something, that their life meant something. And it's not about the money. It's that you contributed something greater yourself, and you built this camaraderie. And I think that when you mentioned Weekend Warrior, I was like, I was so wrong about that. These aren't guys trying to get over. I mean, there's, you get the knuckleheads that do, well, I'm here for college. And but a lot of them, even if they come in that way, they get bit by the bug, and they realize what responsibility is, what loyalty, what patriotism really is about. And that fills your soul. And I think a lot of our reservists, and I joke with Shalom all the time, but that's just because he's Shalom. But you serve. That's it.
Service.
That's it.
Service is
that guy in the reserves is not any more courageous than me.
That's right.
Fact. Just because I'm on active duty getting a regular paycheck every single day doesn't mean that my life isn't, when I'm in theater, isn't any more or less at risk.
That's right.
So,
That's right. Yeah. Hey, listen, whether you're serving in theater or you're serving at a home base, unfortunately, the military is a dangerous occupation.
Yeah.
And even if you're in it part-time, listen, I got caught by a stray bullet during a lift and shift maneuver. Now, I got lucky and all it did was scratch me, but doesn't mean that if I would have been a couple of inches to one side or the other, it could have been a much different wound.
Yeah.
And so it does not come without a need for courage to join the military. And it does take some wherewithal and mental capability. Even the Marines got to have some brain power.
I don't think young people have the courage like you and I understand, because we're indestructible. 17, 18 years old, nothing's going to kill us. You never hear about us dying, and you have this indestructible. Whereas if Shalom, me, or you went and they said, hey, man, sign up, we want you to go over here. Like, let's take a minute. We have to think about the risk here and consider where
Shalom is a brand new military person as an old guy, right? So he got bit by the bug late in life, and I'm glad he did.
But he still knows better. He knows how frail life is. He's seen things. I just think that when people say this young person is so brave, I kind of go, is he? Like, especially with my Marine Corps brothers who I love so much. Jail, court.
Oh, gosh. Well, David, you are inspiring, and you inspire a lot of other folks when helping with that transition, because that's a very, very challenging period. While we're talking, I'm getting a text from somebody, Air Force, and listen, Air Force, they have the cushy life, but somebody that I know making a transition out, and it is a scary process, making a transition from military to civilian. And by the way, even on the Guard and Reserve side, for some of these folks that whether you put in 6 years or 26 years, it especially now, I can tell you from being an active reservist, the requirements are pretty intense. The amount of training and the constant tempo of pushing. I mean, ultimately, a lot of people don't understand this, but it's the same training requirements between the active and the reserve compos. It's exactly the same training requirements. It's a shorter amount of time.
They don't abbreviate it. You can you can't get half a day to learn how to fire this gun. You need the whole damn couple of weeks. Well, he's just a reservist, so he learns how to load it. Here your bullets. I got to hear your bullets. That's all I got.
Yeah. Good luck. We're sending you out to theater. You'll figure it out there. No, it is intense. But David, you're doing awesome stuff. So, how can people learn more, whether on the employer side, the veteran side? How can people learn more about your amazing stuff?
Yeah, and forgive me, my new furnace is very loud. So if you're hearing that in the background, I apologize. Well, if you are a service member or a family member and you're looking for help, please visit us at vsnusa.org. There's a button right there for job seekers. Click on that. Send us your resume. Sign up for career coaching. We've got a brand new app that we're working on that we hope to have released in the spring. We have an e-learning platform now where you can go and take classes. So come to us, get educated. Let us know your resume is get it in our database so we can let you know if something shows up in your neighborhood. If you're an employer, contact me. You can also reach me at the website vsnusa.org. There's a button there for employers. You can fill out the form. we'll reach back out to you probably very next day, say hello and kind of find out what you're interested in and see if there might be a match for what we do and what you guys do. We're here to help everybody, employers and veterans and their families alike.
That's incredible. Awesome stuff. Thank you for all that you are doing. And I do hope that folks will take advantage. Veterans can take advantage and submit their information. Employers getting in touch with you, and just in general, that support, as the name of the show goes, we all serve. So for employers that want to do something, and honestly, it's a win-win. It truly is a win-win. Doing something positive to help folks with the transition, but they're going to be getting amazing talent. So cool stuff. I hope everybody will check out vsnusa.org, and it is a hidden secret over there. Angel, you get to close us out because you have been overwhelmed by these two Army guys. So you get to have the last word.
Thank you, David. Thank you for being with us today. I learned a lot. I've talked to you offline. You're a great guy, and you really embody what we want for our listeners and our viewers to take home and to take to bed. And thank you for being an example and for continuing to serve.
Well, thank you both, Angel, Shalom, for inviting me to come and join you guys. I've enjoyed both conversations I've had with you respectively, as well as this today. If I can ever be of service to either of you or anybody who's listening or watching the podcast, please reach out to us. And I wish you both a safe and happy holiday season. Stay COVID free. Wear your face mask, wash your hands, all the stuff that they're telling us to do for the last year, and people still can't figure it out, it seems.
Wash your face mask.
All Marines.
Face mask.
It's all Marines. But hey.
No, it's not. Actually, it's not.
No.
It's actually Marines follow orders more than anybody else. Right?
Hey,
so,
in the Air Force, and in my bit about the Air Force, they're smart enough to go, do we really need to do that shit?
behind filters.
This doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. And they're usually right.
Right.
Thanks, guys.
Well, David, thank you. Appreciate it. And we'll be back with another episode of WeAllServe real soon. Click subscribe. Make sure you track all of our upcoming episodes. But again, great conversation. I'll be back real soon.